Okay, welcome back.
Day 19.
Day 19, and it's chilly enough there for you to wear your cardigan.
It is. It's a mild day. Like a bit later when I go out, I probably won't need this, but for now it's a kind of chilly morning. Yeah.
I like that cardigan. I'm learning which is which now because we've chatted enough.
This has been one of my most worn this winter. I just love it so much. And it's got, I don't know if you've noticed my buttons, it's got little, can you see them? Little sailing ship buttons.
Yeah. And that's just for viewers, that's the Celestia cardigan. Of course, I'll put the link down below as I have been, but I like that one a lot. It's this kind of chevron eyelets is very flattering.
It's fun. And I haven't started wearing the sweater really. I wore it on the podcast. I'm just waiting until I finally finish writing it up and photograph it, and then I think I'll wear that a lot. It's just a really cozy pullover. So quick one for us this morning, isn't it? Because we've got a big interview to follow. So
with Heather from So Happy Jane. So like SEW, So Happy Jane. She's over in Idaho, and we had quite a chat. We had a long interview, and it was a lot of fun, and we talked about some interesting things. So stay tuned for that. Yeah.
And she's also got an offer that won't come into effect for another week. So she has suggested that people follow her on Instagram or sign up to her newsletter. So her next shop update, which will be December 28th, she has a 10% coupon code for everyone to use for
and
3
I
days
saw on her
free.
I saw on her Instagram too that she's gonna have some updates with some specific bundles. Like she calls them, I think they're called perfect pairing. And so I was kind of looking for, I don't need to buy any more yarn, but I definitely I like to watch.
Well, it'll be good to see her pairing. So yeah, she said that she had 2 skein bundles perfect for 2 skein shawls. So yeah, plus I think she mentioned a candle that goes with it or something.
I think so. So check out her newsletter. Be sure you're on her newsletter list and her Instagram. Why not do both?
Yeah.
All right, we better get started then. Let's open our stuff, and then we'll head over to visit with Heather.
All right, you go first.
Okay.
Go today.
Day 19, we have snowmen.
Oh, fun.
That's
They're
cute.
so good, your girls.
Woo. Okay, this is called, let me see first I'll show you. But I really like this tonal with the speckles. That's so cool.
Yeah, I can see some gold speckle in that, I think.
Yeah. And this one is called Quartzite. Yeah, I like that a lot. Nice.
Yeah, that's gorgeous.
Yeah. So I've been knitting on my blocks. I did complete the one I was doing yesterday and cast on another, but I'm also setting it aside for a moment because I really need to get those felted slipper clogs I showed you the other day. I really need to get those done and in the mail. They need to go in the mail. It's not a crisis if the person doesn't receive them by Christmas. I would love it if she did, but if she doesn't, it's okay. And I'm not mailing them very far. It's just to a neighboring town. So it's not like they're going all across the country. So I'm hopeful that they'll get there. And if not, it's all right. It'll work out.
Yeah. Well, that'll be a lovely gift.
Yeah.
All right, what have I got? Day 19. Cute little Love and Speckles number. And it's Tanzanite.
Oh, I feel like I've heard of that.
Oh, and Heather also sponsored today's prize too. She's today's prize sponsor in the knit along.
Nice.
Today's lucky winner. All right. Ooh.
Oh.
Wow.
That's cool.
It's gorgeous. I love it. How glowy it is.
Yeah, that'll go right up next to that indigo tonal one that you had.
Yeah. I have to stand up and get out of the way. So it's interesting because it tones in with those earlier days too. Very nice.
Okay, so we're on to visit with our interview with So Happy Jane.
Yay.
This month. So welcome. Glad to see you.
Thanks for having me.
I love your background. I want to know, first I got to know about the sweater. I mean, it's right there. You have to tell us about the sweater.
So this was a test knit that I did for Tammy Gore. It's a sweater that she designed called Speckles and Spice. And so that's what that is. And I loved it. It was really fun to knit, except for there was one little section that had 3 colors at one time in the color work thing. And I feel like that is not my favorite. I'm really down for 2. 2 is great. But 3, let's see, I think it was right here in this section right here,
Yeah,
where you
it looks like it.
You have 3 colors going, and whew, that was intense. That was like some really focused knitting time. So
turn off the Netflix.
Yeah, no Netflix, no podcast, no audiobook. It's like just focusing. So, but it was a really engaging knit, and I really liked working on that. So,
and you're wearing Ambah's pattern.
Yes, of course. This is actually I've had this, I feel like it's been at least 3. This is one of the very first things that I knit when I was first started dyeing yarn. This is the Lovella, which all of you have seen because you just did a knit along with it. But I used a little speckled cream yarn that
Wonderful.
It's called pistachio cream for my lace. The thing that I love so much about this pattern is you're knitting the stripes, so you get to keep changing colors every other row. And then when you get really sick of knitting stripes, then she throws in this beautiful lace pattern so you're not bored again. Yeah. Obviously, you know what you're doing to keep your knitters engaged, Ambah.
Yeah, she does. Just fantastic designs. Yeah.
But also, don't you just love how it wraps around your neck, and like it's so nice and long. It doesn't fall off. It just wears. It's like super.
I do love long, thin ends to my shawls for that reason exactly.
Yeah.
So I guess I design and knit what I like. So I'm glad other people.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
This was the Inara wrap. This is the first one that I did of your patterns, and we did it as a knit along in the group. I think 2 years ago. This month it was 2 years ago. So that's how we first connected. Was I had messaged you and we talked about that knit along. So how did the two of you meet?
Well, we actually have never met until right now.
We've met online through the Ravelry group, really, isn't it? And with Advent coming up. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so have you been doing Advent kits, Heather?
I did do Advent kits. I sent them all out. Huge.
Yay!
They're such a labor of love, but they're so much fun, and I'm really excited. I think that I'm going to, well, I'm not sure if it's going to work. I need to look a little more closely at the Radvent blanket. I guess it's called Radvent Throw. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
I need to look a little more closely at the specs for that. I saved my kit from last year. I never got a chance to knit with it. And my kits this year, I only could get enough minis to do half kits this year. So I was thinking that I might combine the 2 years together and try and knit the Radvent Throw.
And make it a bit larger. Is that what you're thinking? Because you can easily do that.
Do you think it will work?
Yeah.
Because I only have, if I combine the 2, then I would have like 25 minis.
Oh, that's the perfect number. Yeah.
And it looks to me like you have a ton of choices behind you.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little bit of yarn in here.
So is this your studio?
Personal shop, or is it home, or is it an actual store?
I don't have a storefront, but I'm in my studio. I'm really, really lucky that I get to have a dedicated, it's actually a whole house, an older, like a historic home that we lived in when my 18-year-old was a baby. My husband renovated this 120 20-year-old house. It was built in 1905. And then we moved into a different house, but I continued to teach music students here. And then when I started dyeing yarn, I kind of took over the kitchen, and then I sort of took over another room. And now I'm not teaching music anymore. I'm only dyeing yarn, and I've taken over the entire house except for one room, which my 18-year-old has moved into because she didn't get to go to college this year because of all the COVID nonsense. So instead, we let her move into the extra room over here at the studio house so that she could feel a little bit of independence.
That's hilarious. So she's living with a house full of yarn.
Yeah, that's so cool.
You take good care of it, the caretaker.
I've tried really hard to get her to like knitting, and she just isn't having it. So everything's safe. She's not going to touch it.
But it sounds to me like you could have a retail shop there, it sounds like.
Well, as you know, all in-person events ended up being canceled this year.
Sure. But, you know, sometime later, right.
I mean, I could actually potentially do that if I got the gumption to deal with that. I don't know.
I'm just calculating how long would it take me to drive there?
It just looks so inviting, that display.
You know, obviously I don't always actually have this much yarn, but because we've had no shows and anyway, I have a lot of yarn right now.
That's wonderful. So you're able to do this full time then?
I am now doing this full time. This will be the first year. I started dyeing in 2016. And this will be the first year that I will have been doing only yarn and no teaching.
Big transition from singing. Because we haven't. You were telling us a little bit before that you are a singing teacher.
Yes, I was a singing teacher. I taught elementary music and choir, and then when I left teaching in schools, I started a private teaching studio, and I taught piano and voice students.
Okay. Wow.
So
do you miss that? Do you miss it?
I
mean, that's probably a loaded question, like yes and no and maybe. And,
it is actually a loaded question, but I was just saying I think what it is more for me is that I feel a little guilty for all the years of school and student loans that led to being a teacher. And then I just sort of realized that I actually think that I will always teach in some capacity. But right now I don't miss it at all.
That's okay. No, it's okay to go through different seasons of your life, you know. I mean, I think we all have that to a certain extent, you know. Yeah. And maybe you'll teach people how to dye yarn. You know,
you never know. It's entirely possible.
Yeah. What are you working on right now? What are you knitting right now?
I am knitting. I'm kind of cobbling together. It's actually it's a cowl, and I'm using some mohair and silky I have a base that has silk and cashmere in it, which obviously you can't really see super well.
I could see a bit of fuzziness.
Yeah. Gorgeous. You can't see all the colors that are really in this super well, but I'm holding that together with a burgundy mohair, and it's just going to be a cowl that I have a whole bunch of different scraps from other things that I've knit. So I'm kind of making it up a little bit as I go along, but I'm using, I think the pattern's called Stone Avenue. So anyway, I just started that, and I'm at the Knit Round and Round for a while.
So I've been following you a little bit on Instagram, and you have some amazing speckles and pairings and things. But I'm curious to know. I'm curious to know about your shop name.
So my name is Heather, not Jane, which confuses a lot of people. But my middle name is actually Jane. I was named after my grandmother, who was named Hattie Jane. And so my name is Heather Jane. And when I actually, like, when my kids were really little, I want to say this was, maybe like back 15 years ago or something. I don't even remember how long ago it was. I actually had a sewing business and I named it Sew Happy Jane. And then when I started dyeing yarn, I really never intended, this was not actually a business plan of mine because as I mentioned, I was a music teacher. I had a full studio. I had like 34 students and I was teaching like 5 or 6, group voice and Montessori preschool classes. And I literally had no desire. It just didn't even occur to me that I would become a yarn dyer. But a friend of mine started teaching a class and she emailed me because she knew that I was a teacher. She asked me if I would take her class and give her like critical feedback on the educational aspects of the class. And I started doing it and I was like, oh my gosh, I love this so much. And at that point I'd been knitting for 6 or 7 years and it just kept falling into place. And people then started asking me for yarn and I was like, okay, I really didn't think that anybody would want it and I couldn't believe that they did want it. But then I needed to make a label really fast. So I just was like, I already have a business license for Sew Happy Jane, so I'm going to use that. Yeah. And people liked it. And my daughter said to me when I made my first logo, she was like, for now, you can just use this and it's good enough. And if you decide you want to try harder, then you can try harder later, But the name just sort of like transferred because I already had an Instagram with that name. I already had a website with that name. So I was like, I think I'll just keep it. It's always bothered me a little bit that it has the word sew, S-E-W in it, but I couldn't think of anything better. So it's staying. Yeah.
Well, at some point, if you decide that it bothers you enough, you can always just drop that off and be Happy Jane. Right. I think that's fantastic. Yeah. You could be Knit Happy Jane.
Yeah. Well, so Happy Jane. So Happy Jane.
I thought really a long time about changing it to just S-O Happy Jane. And it just seemed like, honestly, since I started this, I haven't even hardly been able to keep up with myself. So I feel like no hanging fruit, baby.
Right.
That's so fantastic. So did you say it was 2015 that you started dyeing?
Yes.
And what got you started?
Well,
what was your first?
It was really that class. It was I had dyed a little bit, just like I had some little tiny pots of dye that I got from a local craft store. And I really wasn't good at it. I didn't know what I was doing and I didn't understand the process. I didn't understand how you could layer dye together. I didn't understand how you could paint on yarn, which is, has become one of the things that I'm known for. But when my friend emailed me and was like, do you want to learn more about this? And I thought I just don't have time. I don't even have time for another hobby right now. But
knitting is enough, really, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. But I fell in love with it so much. And I felt like there were things that I wanted to say with color that other people weren't saying. So I did it.
That's fantastic. And it makes you feel like you're filling a niche that you wanted for yourself as well. And then when other people, connect with that, then that's all the more rewarding.
Right. Like Ambah was saying, she designs what she wants to wear. I dye what I want to knit with.
Right. Right. And I think that's fantastic. That's what people do. That's how people connect, because I don't think that there's anything necessarily original. When I say that, what I mean is the things that I want to knit or the things that other people do too. And the colors that you like, the combinations that you find amazing, other people will too.
Right.
Yeah. I think we all have that commonality,
I think you're right. And I think there have been many times, and I think it's really easy. I I think with like I'll get on Instagram and I'll think, why do I even do this? There's so much beautiful yarn out there. Does the world really need another dyer, another person's eye? Because am I even really doing anything very different from everybody else? But you know, there's the personal aspect of it too. Because I feel like it's really easy to get caught up in the, what's the word when you feel I can't think of the word I'm trying to think of.
The imposter syndrome?
Yes.
Or the...
Yes. Yes. I think we all feel that as creators. I mean, Ambah, don't you feel like that sometimes? Well, maybe not you.
Look, I mean, the more now I feel quite seasoned many years later, but for the first few years, absolutely, and still to some extent. I mean, it doesn't go away. And that sense of, what am I bringing that's unique? But I think exactly as you say, Heather, it's connecting, you know, Jana connects with people that she connects with, and you connect with people, and we all connect with people that are kind of like us who work for us, and there's lots of space for that. There's plenty of uniqueness in each of us. So, yeah.
Yeah, I struggled with that. I still struggle with that on my YouTube channel because, you know, okay, well, everybody knows how to do the long tail cast on. All right, but should I make a video about that? Well, I did, because I feel like that's a foundational thing that everybody needs to know. But the only reason that my video would be any different than anybody else's is because I'm a different person, and maybe I explain things in a different way. And, you know, I'm not necessarily going to come out with a whole new video that's revolutionary and original, but the way that I explain things, or the way that if I can connect with people, then that's unique, just because I'm a unique person and so is that viewer, you know?
Yeah.
So it's that combination that makes it work, I think. And I think the same is true for you and Ambah as well. I mean, the colors that you put together are going to be different because they're personal to you. Right. And Ambah knits what she likes. And that's
with you, Heather. You barely took a breath, and you're swamped with orders and busy, and you also mentioned wholesale customers as well. So obviously doing something right.
I hope so. I will admit that there are many times when I think, how long is this going to last exactly? Because it was so unintentional that but I feel like sometimes those are the best gifts in life, when things are just so organically right that they go without you almost. It's like you just are holding on for the ride, you know. And I think there are plenty of people who have more followers and more customers and more whatever than I do. But I think it's really important when you're doing something creative to stay focused on what's important to you, and think about, you know, like you said, of course there are a million long tail cast on videos, but people who are following your video, like you, they want to know what you have to say about it, or the way that you teach it, exactly what you said. I think that it's really important to remember that as a creative person.
Yeah, absolutely. That's amazing. And I think that you have to do what makes you happy, you know?
Definitely.
And when you had that light bulb moment, when you took that class, you're like, oh, I love this. I love this.
What will happen if I do these colors together? Oh my God. Yeah. And then suddenly you see things through your own eye, even if there are similarities to other people. You have your own take on things, but it's definitely, I don't know. It's definitely been a huge gift to me to be able. I always dreamed of being an artist when I was a child, when I was a kid growing up. And I would look at artists and think, how do they do that? What is it that they're doing? And I know, I mean, I felt sort of creative as a music teacher, but mostly not. Mostly what I was doing was teaching other people to be creative. And I was hardly getting any time to sing or dance or play music myself, because I spent all my time focused on giving things to other people. I think something just really opened up in me when I started being able to, everything that I dye has a story, or it's connected to something else, or it's inspired by something that I've seen. It's not, it's really not, it is a very abstract process for me. And I think, most of the things that I dye, no one will ever know what that story is. They'll never know why my brain decided that it needed those things to happen together at the same time. But that is the element that we bring with our own personal selves to our art. And I've just been so thankful to finally find something that I could use to express myself that way, that had, I think when you train as a professional something, like I trained as a professional musician, a lot of that got bound up in rules and the proper way to do things. And I feel like I lost so much of my ability to express myself because I was trying to follow the rules all the time. And with dyeing, I was given like a set of parameters, and of course you have to do it correctly so that the dye will set and you don't have a bleeding dye mess in your sink when you block your project. But beyond that, I'm making this up as I go along. Nobody told me any rules about color theory. Nobody said to me, these colors go together, and so you need to do these things together, and you should never do this together. I can just do it and see what happens.
That's got to be really freeing and liberating. Yeah. I want to come and see it all.
It's so exciting. So where would you start? What inspires you when you do create new colors? Do you look at a picture and get inspiration from that? Or I'm sure there's a lot of different sources of inspiration, but
yeah, but I have one. I'll grab, let's see if I have it. One color in particular that I just finished dyeing about 150 of these for a collaboration with Tiff Nealon, who did a shawl. This color is called Agate Beach. And
because of Agate Beach.
On Lopez Island.
Oh,
so I didn't realize that there were two agate beaches. I didn't know that there was an agate beach in Oregon.
Yeah, on the Oregon coast. That's what I thought when you said that.
Yeah, well, when I was a little kid, I mentioned that my parents used to take us to Lopez Island in Washington, and my grandparents had a house on Agate Beach on Lopez. And when their home was built, the beach still had a ton of agates on it. So they didn't build the house, but the person who did had gathered agates, and they had built this massive rock fireplace in their living room that was filled with all these agates.
Wow.
And I didn't appreciate it when I was a little kid, but as I grew up and started thinking back on that, that was one of the memories that really stuck out in my mind. So let's see if I can find a skein of it. So when I started dyeing, I decided I wanted to dye.
Oh, that's lovely.
I wanted to
dye.
Are
they all the colors that were in that stone wall, the different colors of agate?
Yes.
Wow, that must have been amazing.
It was really cool. I actually, when I was really little, I thought it was super ugly. I didn't understand it. Now I would kill to have it, but when I was a kid, I was like, man, why is that fire? Why are there so many rocks in that thing?
So what kind of nostalgia does that give you then, that colorway?
Yeah, so it becomes very meaningful to me because I get to revisit that memory every time I dye that yarn. And now I can do it in my sleep because I've dyed it so many times. But that's one of the most specific stories that I have. But then last year in the winter, I went to go visit. My brother rented a house.
Wait, I got to make you the spotlight video again, just because it makes yours big on the screen. Oh, that's lovely.
So this color is called Slopez because Lopez Island has the nickname of Slopez. Unfortunately, you can't really see the gold in this light. It's dark here already, so I'm using lights, but there's rust in there. So this is like the trees and the water, which is like this sort of dark, moody blacks and grays and blues and teals, and then there's lots of greens for all the trees. And then the rust is all the old rusty boats that are always tied up to the docks on the island. So that color is called Slow Pez, and it's kind of a partner too. This is a funny little, this is my, I made swatches of all my colors.
That's great.
Wow.
That's wonderful.
And do you keep adding to it as you make new colors?
Yeah, so I just keep, or I'll just keep, I'll wait till I have a bunch and then I'll crank them all out again. So
That's
anyway,
wonderful.
That's weird string is, but anyway, that's 2 examples.
Yeah.
So what was the inspiration for your Advent kit this year? So you mentioned a kit last year, but you didn't dye an Advent kit yourself, did you? Or
I did. I dyed a kit last year that was based on French bakery. It was called Patisserie, and it was all different colors of pastry, like pastries. And this year my theme was let's get cozy, and all of the colors were like, I did it on purpose. I was trying to be nice to myself because last year I had such a hard time like thinking up all the different, like 24 pastries. That's a lot. And there's so much chocolate in a pastry case. So I can't dye everything brown. So
how many shades of brown and caramel can we do?
And I did all the berries, and I was like really stretching though. By the time I got to 24, I was like, okay, and now we're gonna do cinnamon, and now anyway. It worked out okay, but this year I decided to be nice to myself, and I picked a theme that would not require that I make my yarn look like anything. So I picked the theme was let's get cozy, and I had I wanted all of my colors to just be like really warm, and that is my color palette anyway. If you look at my Instagram, you can see I really like warm, romantic, sort of homey colors. So that's what people will be seeing in their Advents. And so we're on day 19 now. They're getting close to the end by the time they're seeing this.
Yeah. Have you got any of today's or the previous 19 days to show us?
I can't. Should I show them? I could. Yeah. I mean, why not, right? So this is what they got when they opened their box. The little envelopes were all sealed up in this pretty teal paper, and then we had this little let's get cozy card that told them which days, because I could only get enough yarn to do half sets this year, so I only did
we've heard from a few dyers that have said that there's been issues with gains,
that it's hard to get minis.
Yeah, I was having to make them because I couldn't buy enough. I ran out. Anyway, minis were a total disaster this year, but that's okay. We pulled it off. I was able to do 60 kits, but I chose to do half so that I could offer more. Because if I had done full, I could have only done 30 kits, and I felt like people would be really sad. So this was day 1. I know for sure we can show day 1.
Yes.
And it says, let's get cozy. And I made all these cute little stickers that say that, like, have fun little sayings. Like, is that backwards?
Oh, no, it says no peeking.
No peeking. And then, like, this is day 3. Ooh, looky here. And there's some fun little extra things in there. So let's open day 1.
Day 1 looks really big, actually. Is that a mini skein?
Well, there's a full skein. Plus they get a bonus mini on day 1.
Wow. I love the color of that wrapping too.
Oh, isn't it so pretty? I was very, very happy when it came. So let's see what was in day 1.
Oh, it's so exciting, Gemma.
It is exciting. We're filming this we're recording this in November. So I'm like,
yay! I mean, I'm going to be honest. I don't even remember all the colors. Like, really, I don't. This is going to be a surprise I wrapped myself one. So this is mine. It's going to be a surprise for me. So this is my full skein. It's a colorway called Dusk. And it's sort of just like not navy, it's like a Wedgwood blue.
Yeah.
With a decent amount of texture. I'm really, really excited about that. And then this is the day 1 mini.
Oh,
And
I should have made you spotlighted here. Let me. Okay.
Yeah, do that.
So
Oh, that's gorgeous. Very cozy.
One, and it's called, the name of it is called Long Hug.
Oh.
So all of the names of the minis get to have a cozy name. So there's like, let's see. This is day number 11. Day number 11. Let's see what's in day number 11.
Oh.
Wow.
Ooh. And this one is called Woolly Mittens.
Oh, that's cool. I love the tonal. I just love all the tonal ones.
There are
I love speckles too.
Here's one of my speckles. This one is called Sunday Morning, and this is maybe one of my favorites.
Yeah, I love that.
So this is definitely going to become a real like whole color. And some of these colors, I'm thinking about putting, you know what I've always wanted to knit? I love the Lovella, but when you released Lovetta, I was super excited because I wanted a lighter weight one that matches this. So I'm thinking about putting together kits for one of your shawls. I don't know which one it's going to be yet, using some of my new colors. But don't you think that would be so pretty with Sunday morning and dusk?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. See if I can find better light. That light is kind of terrible.
It looks good in all the angles.
Anyway, so it's a gradient fade. So it fades from both ends, dark into very, very light in the middle. So people could, I didn't have quite enough minis. Like, I don't think, what was last year's pattern? Fading point? No.
The Advent patterns, some of them I have options where you could use 12 minis, that would work. So, yeah.
What was the one you did last year that faded towards the center, and maybe did you knit it in 2 pieces?
Oh, that was the first year. That was the Adventurer wrap.
Okay.
So, yeah. I'm just looking them up now to make sure.
Ambah, was that the one that's knitted like in 2 triangles?
I don't know if you...
Yes, it's knitted like in 2 triangles that it becomes a trapezoid shape. Yeah.
And then for 12 minis, the KALs would work.
Yep.
And and also this year's Radvent KAL, I held, it's for DK weight yarn, but I held fingering weight double for that and used 12 colors, so that would work too. There's lots of options.
Yeah, that several people chose DK, so I was really happy that you had both the pillow and a couple of your cowls that I could point people to knit the DK kits that they got. So, but the one that's behind you on the mannequin, I think I don't know if there's enough yardage just in my kit alone, but I think that would be so pretty with the kit that I dyed this year too. What is that?
That would be really close. That's Adventuresome. That was last year. So maybe, is that the one you're talking about? So I'm just looking at the yardage now because I actually think it would be really close. So yeah, each mini skein, it's 24 mini skeins of 40 yards. So you could use 12 mini skeins of 80 yards. So it would be perfect.
And these are 92. So they would have enough. That would be great. I think I kind of had that in mind when I picked this sort of darker and I wanted all the minis. Let's see which day this is.
I hope someone knits that because that'll be beautiful.
Yeah, well, maybe I will. So anyway, I'm really excited to open my kit.
Me too. I have to ask really quick. Let's see. Over your right shoulder on the one level down, I want to know, what is that yarn? Yep.
This is called Morning Fog. Do you want to hear the story of this yarn?
Oh, I saw that on your Instagram. Yeah, I do.
So this is what I mean by some stories will never be told. Like, obviously I'm going to tell it now. So the story's getting told. But when I dyed this color, the reason that I called it Morning Fog, what I was picturing in my imagination was sitting in a coffee shop before COVID and, watching out And seeing all the people on like a foggy San Francisco day walking by with all their bright colored, coats and jackets and like umbrellas. And so it was like my view out of a coffee shop window of the world passing by on a foggy day.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, as you see, I totally went in movie mode in my mind as you were explaining that. It makes me visualize exactly what you're saying with those colors.
I mean, do you ever sit in a coffee shop and like just watch outside, watch the world pass? And it's like in a big city, it's very colorful. I live in a sort of a small city, so this isn't my city. Also, we don't have fog here.
Yeah, that's so evocative.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite colors to dye, because you can just kind of, this was one of the colors that I thought that rusty orange and hot pink aren't probably going to go together, but I'm going to try it anyway, and it turns out they do. Yes. So that's called Morning Fog.
I can just sit here and visualize that paired with so many themes, or even in a beanie on its own. I'd love to make a hat with that just on its own,
Yeah.
Lovely.
One of the things that people say about my work is that almost everything goes together, that you could almost randomly pick two skeins off the wall and they would work. And I've seen people put together things that I never thought would work together, but then they do. And I'm like, okay. So I really have, without trying, like just narrowed in this color palette that it's mine. It's my favorite colors. It's what I like. So anyway, it does match a lot of things that I dye.
Yeah, and you've got some bundles that are fantastic on your website.
I know. So Ambah, you have a shawl that has, I know more than one. I have a Ravelry library filled with your patterns. Really, truly, I do. But a customer asked me to put together a kit for something that had mohair and maybe 2 colors of fingering. Is that too many?
Maybe Audra. It's quite pink, very light colored. Yes.
Yeah. So I had put together these bundles with mohair and speckles, but I was thinking,
soft.
A combination so that's why I said I can't really commit to Lovetta for kits in December, because I know I'm going to feature one of your patterns and put together bundles for them, but I don't know which one I will do yet, because there's so many good options. Your patterns are just so perfect for what I like to dye that I literally cannot. And every time I look at my library, I'm like, no, this one, no, maybe this one, no, this one. Anyway, but I thought these were super fun, and I twisted the mohair together with the fingering weight just so you could kind of here's one for fall that I think would be so beautiful in one of those.
A really lovely way to present them too, twisting them together.
I mean, it just makes them feel so squishy. Yeah, they're really what's not to love, right? Yes, these are my favorite thing right now. So many good ideas, so many beautiful things to knit, so few hours in the day.
I know. Sometimes I get angry that we have
to knit too.
It's lovely. Sometimes I resent the fact that I have to sleep.
I know.
Well, Heather, it's been delightful to meet you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Such a joy to hear about your journey, and really exciting and inspiring to hear the passion that you have there.
Thank you.
People can check out all of your links and social media and things. I'll put all those things down below in the video description. And maybe one day, hopefully, we'll get to meet in person, since we are both in the Rocky Mountain area.
Yes. I mean, we're not that far away.
No.
So.
All right. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks,
Heather.